All right, let's go ahead and get started. So as I mentioned, we have Matt St. John from Starship here today to talk about Sage 100 and the integration and the product Starship Cloud. Starship is the product of choice here at DWD when it comes to shipping integrations and fulfillment or the process of shipping from fulfillment. Um, just great experiences over the years with their tool and great feedback. And so Matt today is going to talk about their product and maybe show it a little. So welcome, Matt, and go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Thanks for having us, and thanks everyone for taking your time to join today's webinar. I'm sure you've been learning a lot about all the additional add-ons out there, and as Chris mentioned today, we'll talk about Starship, and yeah, we'll jump into a live demo. But with Starship, of course, it's just a great product that's going to help automate your shipping software, or your shipping process, I should say. And then we'll talk about some things about how, I know you're learning about like ScanForce, you just talked about SimCloud, but really how Starship can also plug and play with those additional ISV add-ons. So we'll talk about that, but again, appreciate everyone taking time. So again, my name is Matt St. John. I'm the Senior Sales Executive here at V Technologies, and again, today we'll talk about Starship's integration with Sage 100. But before we get going, if you're not aware of who V Technologies is, I'll just talk about that so you understand who we are, where we come from, how long we've been in business, so on. But actually, we've been developing integrated shipping solutions since 1987. We are located in Connecticut. The other nice thing with Starship is really everything we're doing, like support, development, QA, is done in-house. So we're not outsourcing support, which is here big thing nowadays. So you're going to get our team inside the office, and with that team, not only do they understand Sage 100 and that integration with Starship, so that they can really help you along. Now, we do integrate with a dozen other ERP systems, but really with Sage, we've been working with them the longest at 22 years. We're also a Sage Gold development partner. So of course, we're up to date with any of the new product updates that Sage comes out with, any of the actual whole brand new, like Sage 2022, Sage 2023. So with that, of course, they update us before any of those releases, notify us of any changes. Of course, we get advanced copies. So if they change anything that, Starship is looking at, any of those Sage tables, so on and so forth, we have time, before that's released to make adjustments. So when that product update is out, for example, Sage Starship will be compatible. Again, located in Connecticut, 40 plus employees, and actually just recently we started doing more remote employees, so we actually have people working for us all across the country. And the 35 years that we've been in business, we've actually had over 10,000 companies that have used Starship to, like I'm going to show you, just really automate and streamline that whole shipping process. And you're going to see not only does Starship help the warehouse with our shipping, but we're going to also help the front office. You're going to see things like Starship can automatically create invoices. So as soon as we process shipments, the front office is going to see, hey, that invoice has already been created for me. And I'll show you, of course, we're going to update like the tracking information and freight amounts. We're going to write that back. So with Starship, it is a deep integration to Sage 100, and not only just pulling in, bringing in data, but also reverse translating or passing that data back into Sage 100. So these are just kind of some bullet points. I'm really probably going to talk about more of these on the actual demo. But as you see with Starship, we do offer two different versions. We do have a full on-prem version, or if you like, we do have a 100% cloud-based version. Really, everything I'm showing you today, it's all the same between the two different versions. It's actually the same look, the same feel, same functionality. Just really, it comes down to the pricing module. Of course, cloud is SaaS-based or subscription-based. So, if you want to just pay month to month, we have that option with cloud. Of course, the other thing with cloud is we're going to maintain it. We're going to host it, take care of it for you. But with on-prem, again, it's that same functionality and everything you're going to see today. And just with on-prem, again, it's just a different pricing scheme, so to say. Right. Multi-carrier strategy. So really, you're going to see inside Starship. I would say Starship is multi-carrier, multi-mode. So we're going to be able to just through the Starship user interface be able to process all different type of shipments. So if we're doing small parcel, you can do that. You're doing LTL type shipments, can do that as well. With that, maybe we're doing blind drop shipments. We fully support things like that. Or maybe we want to do a one-off shipment where, yeah, we don't want the data to come from Sage. So we also support things like that, international shipments. So, and again, I'll go over all those so you can see them today on the demo and just see really how Starship can help streamline that whole shipping process. Reduce shipping costs. So with Starship, you're going to see we do integrate with over 24 LTL and small parcel type carriers. So nice thing with that is, hey, at the time of shipment, I can actually see all my different carriers. So really, a lot of clients find that for LTL, it's a great help because now I don't have to individually go to each of the LTL carriers' website or call them to find out how much the shipment's gonna, cost me. Or even a lot of the carrier integrations we have support things like electronic pickup, where we're just gonna ping that carrier and let them know, hey, they have a shipment ready to go on this date. Come get it between these hours. And then with Starship, also, when we process things like small parcel or LTL, we're going to generate shipping documents. So shipping labels, packing lists, LTL type documents like bill of lading forms, pallet labels. You'll see I'll process an international shipment for the demo, and I have Starship set up to automatically generate all the international documents. And all the information's already filled out on them, so I don't have to stop and fill out anything. Again, I'll probably say it 100 times, but streamlining the whole shipping process is what we want to do and make it easier for your shipper. Also, when we're displaying rates, Starship can do things like best way shipping, where we can set up rules. And with those rules, maybe you want Starship to always select the least expensive carrier service, maybe the least amount of delivery days. So you'll see that where we can just automatically have it select the cheapest carrier, so we don't have to worry about the shipper manually doing that. Right? Again, I talked about the different documents. But also inside Starship, you'll see address validation. We do validate ZIP+4 as well as that residential commercial flag. So going to help save you on those correction fees. You'll see even third-party type shipments. We will validate that billing account number that's entered if it's a third party. And Starship's not going to allow the shipper to send out anything with an invalid account number. So if that doesn't match that customer's account number, the shipper's not going to be able to process it because if anyone's doing third party, I'm sure you're aware where, hey, if we send out something third party and the account number is wrong, you know what? You end up paying for that shipment because the carrier can't tie it to your customer's account number. All right, so things like that. And I'll show you our branded email, our e-notify program is what we call it, where if you wanted to, you can even create your own custom branded email templates that you can send out to the customers. So you can show them, your company information. It's not going to be branded with the carrier. Other things, you can even show item box detail if you want to get into that level of detail. But the really nice thing on those email templates is that tracking information is going to be hyperlinked. So the customer can click on it. They'll be taken to the carrier's website, and then the customer can track from there and hopefully not call you just to find out, hey, where's my shipment? So we're going to help with that as well. Right. So again, this is just a breakdown about the cloud offering where everything's SaaS-based or SaaS-based pricing, I should say. So you could pay month to month, or we do offer a discount if you want to pay up front for the year. And with the cloud software, we do have different tiers, and it is based on shipping volumes. So number of small parcel packages shipped per month, and if you are also doing LTL, the number of LTL shipments. Of course, with LTL shipment could be 15 boxes, 5 pallets. That's still considered one shipment. But the nice thing with those tiers, you do gain access to unlimited users, all the carriers that Starship integrates with, as well as all our e-commerce integrations. And of course, we do give you the first 30 days for free. And the flip side of that on-prem, as I was mentioning, kind of difference there. On-prem's more a la carte, where, okay, yeah, I need Starship, I need the integration of Sage 100, I need UPS, FedEx, ADWE Pile, XPO, I need 4 users. So you kind of pay for everything individually. So greater upfront cost, And then there's also annual maintenance, just like Sage. Right? So again, just have those two different flavors that you can select from. Here's just a snapshot of some of those carriers that we do integrate with. So again, you'll see live integration. We're pinging the carriers, returning your live contract rates that you have with them. We also do fully support any additional contract options that you might have, any of those additional service options, like for example, FedEx One Rate, UPS ground freight pricing. So if you are currently doing like UPS, FedEx, you're using the carrier supplied software like UPS WorldShip, FedEx Ship Manager, you're going to see it's really kind of the same workflow. But again, really everything you can do in those programs, you are going to be able to do inside Starship. Because again, Starship is multi-carrier, multi-mode. So we are going to replace FedEx, Ship Manager, UPS WorldShip if you are currently using those. E-commerce integration. So Starship does have integrations with the following e-commerce sites. Now, with these integrations, just like to mention this is, we can connect Starship directly to, I'll use Magento, for example, directly to the orders on Magento. So that's going to bypass Sage 100. So most clients use our e-commerce integrations as what we call an extension, where, okay, you're going to, bring in the order from Magento. We'll ship it, ship as it's a normal Sage sales order. And on write back, Starship, of course, is going to update Sage 100 with the shipping information, but we could also update the order on Magento. So mark it complete, bring up tracking information. A lot of them offer even additional shipping notes, any additional shipping information you could pass back. So again, Starship, it's more on the back end where once I process a shipment, we'll update the order on the e-commerce site. Of course, if you are using an integrated solution that's tying your e-commerce site to your the Sage 100 system, then our integrations aren't required because you're going to see Starship actually drops that shipping information, for example, a tracking number into the correct Sage tables or fields, and then that integration, they'll just grab that data from those correct fields. Okay. All right, so let me switch my machines here. We'll jump into the demo. All right. So on my machine right now is the Starship program. So as you see, it does live outside of Sage 100. But the nice thing with that is I can really just work inside of Starship. So as a shipper, I don't have to be inside of Sage 100. I don't have to have Sage installed, say, on my shipping workstations. I even have clients that, oh, yeah, we use a 3PL warehouse. And nice thing is they can just access Starship. So they actually process our shipments for us, instead of us doing it and sending them the labels and the information, because really we can just let them inside of Starship. They don't have to be inside of Sage. Right? Now, with that being said, Starship is still a live connection to Sage 100. And up top here, these are just the source documents, if I can speak today, that we can pull by. So as you see, sales order, customer, or if you're creating invoices first, we can pull by the invoice number. Honestly, most clients, it is by the sales order number. And regardless of the source, this is our source field. So this is where if I wanted to, I could even just use a regular wedge type plug and play scanner and just scan in the sales order number in this case. Right? Just scan it in. Starship would automatically just load that sales order header and line item detail information. Other options, we can manually look up the sales orders. And in this scenario, this is just, I have a filter, but in your live environment, these are just going to be your sales orders. And because it's a live connection, as the front office is adding new sales orders, or even if they're making revisions to current ones, just know Starship's automatically going to be picking up those revisions or new sales orders, okay? So again, live connection. We also fully support multiple companies, warehouses, so on and so forth. So if you are running multiple warehouses or locations or multiple companies, we do out of the box fully support those. And another feature of Starship, if you ever run into the scenario where, for example, I have, in this case, when I click group related, I have actually two orders that are going to the same ship to in Milwaukee. So as a shipper, I could quickly select all of them. Let me drop down into them, and I could select them all, or maybe we just want to do one of them. But in this scenario, I can then click create shipment, and then Starship is simply going to combine these into one shipment. So that way you're not sending out multiple orders that are really going to the same ship to. Okay? It's just another way to save you some time, save you some money. That's the group related feature. Also, if you are scanning sales order numbers in, or again, whatever the source is, Starship as I mentioned, would normally load that, but we can also turn on the group related where instead of loading that order, it will stop and down here show you basically, hey, I see you're trying to ship sales order 123, but I also see all these other sales orders going to the same ship to. So then as a shipper, they could quickly select them all and just consolidate them into one shipment. Batch processing is another option. Usually if we're not using like a WMS or predefining all the shipping details, a lot of clients don't use batch processing because with batch processing, I, again, can select as many orders as I'd like. I can then click process selected, and I'm going to get my batch setting prompt screen, basically telling Starship what I want it to do, even can still do those merge reload orders. But in this scenario, once I click OK, all Starship is going to do is just start processing each of these sales orders that I've selected and basically printing out the shipping documents and then writing that data back into Sage 100. So again, I say usually WMS clients use this because through a WMS system like a ScanForce, you are going to be able to define all that shipping detail. So item box information, you can scan weights, package types, or even just package dimensions. So you could really set it up so you don't have to, bring these in individually into Starship and process them. Right? So again, just some different options on the whole processing. And even as a shipper, when I log in, I can even customize if I wanted to look up this or use the manual lookup. So they could move columns around. They can even add, remove columns. And as you see, these columns are just all Sage 100 fields. Again, that live connection. Even with the filters, as I see here, I have one filter, but we can even filter by any of these other Sage 100 fields. Right? So nice thing, as a shipper, when I log in, I can kind of really organize and customize the screen to my preferences. Okay. But in this scenario, what I'll do is I'll quickly just grab a single shipment. And this is going to be basically a blind third-party type drop shipment. And I just want to show you just some examples of how Starship can automate that whole shipping process for you. Okay? Really, the way Starship is communicating with Sage 100, we're simply just data mapping fields. So we can take any of these Starship fields and point them to Sage 100 fields. Right? And those could be standard Sage 100 fields. We can also use user-defined or custom fields to help streamline the shipping process. But really, we want to set this up so as a shipper, of course, the less things I have to click, type, touch, fill out, the better. Right? So our source information is really just, hey, you're pulling by the sales order number, the company, and the sales order number. Now, also in this scenario where I'm pulling by the sales order number, that doesn't mean I'm limited to just looking at sales order fields. So I have some clients that, we have, for example, the customer's third-party account number. That lives in a user-defined field on the customer maintenance record, or maybe it's assigned on the sales order at time of order. So, if you're doing things like that, just know we can map in these different fields from different fields inside of Sage 100. So then that's just my source. Here's my sender information. As I mentioned, I had this one set up where Starship automatically knows it's a blind drop shipment for Tractor Supply Company, so it's automatically changed my company name. We do support just changing company names, or if you want, it can be the different name and a completely different address. All right. So again, just things we can do to help streamline that so the shipper doesn't have to manually come in this drop down and make any changes. The recipient, that's the sender information. So Starship is going to bring that data in, and we will do address validation. We do validate ZIP+4 as well as the residential commercial flag. We usually set it up so that address validation automatically runs. And of course, if anything gets changed due to validation, Starship will update it here. And if you like, we can even reverse translate that data back onto the invoice inside of Sage 100. Right? Because you're going to see once a shipper processes a shipment, Starship will actually automatically create the invoice and SO invoice data entry for the front office, so you don't have to manually create those. Now, our transportation, this is where we're going to take your ship vehicles and use those to tell Starship things like carrier service account. Again, as I mentioned, this one automated where, hey, it's a third-party shipment. Starship's automatically changed that. This drop down that it's automatically selected is just a database that Starship has where if you wanted to, we could store the address information as well as your customer's different carrier account numbers. All right, again, just one way we can automate that. Like I said, most clients, hey, the billing account lives inside of Sage, so we can map that in from a Sage field. But just showing you where with Starship, we think about it and we know, normally Sage 100 doesn't have a spot where you can store that information. So you're going to see we do add different databases for additional information that might not be living inside of Sage 100. Now, of course, we're going to try to grab as much data from Sage 100. That's kind of like our main data point. But again, if there is some information missing, a lot of that required shipping information, Starship does have its own database for that. So it could be set up inside of the Starship program. Right? And here, as I mentioned, this is where we will validate that third-party account number. So now Starship's yelling at me saying, hey, it's got to be 9 characters. And again, not going to allow me to send out anything with an invalid account number. This is an international shipment. If anyone out there is doing international and we have to do anything with the EEI or electronic export information, we do fully support that. I don't have any of these items selected, but we can have it filled out by the carrier, or down here would be the link to the ACE homepage. So a shipper could click that, Starship would open up that homepage, pass some of the data. They would just fill out a little bit of remaining information on that ACA page. And then what Starship will do, we'll monitor the email address that you have set up, and we'll grab that ITN number automatically. As you see, we fully support all these different type of shipments and shipping options. Our shipment details really just are shipping options. So here, for example, I have some fields defaulted, but you could manually select them. Or if you wanted to, I have some clients that even have user-defined fields set up, and you can work with the team at CWD with that, where, Starship looks at that special field. Okay, I know I need to do declared value. And we can even set it up where it automatically populates things like base amounts or those declared values. All right, so again, just different ways that now a shipper doesn't have to stop and manually do that. Here with the email notification, I'm always telling Starship, select that, mapping in an email address from Sage 100. We can bring in multiple addresses. And then in this system, I even set it up where, which a lot of customers do, hey, I only want to use that carrier email if there's a delay in exception. Because again, with our e-notify program, you're going to be able to send out a branded email that has your information, not the carrier. So just some different options where the customer will receive your email template, and then if there is a delay, they'll receive the one from the carrier. Again, just trying to always constantly keeping that customer updated with the process of their shipment. Okay, so packaging in a live environment is normally the first spot a shipper goes to. I kind of drag this out showing all the different options, but normally we just go to packaging because all this information above we're going to try to automate. Now with packaging, this is where we're going to be able to add boxes. Again, if this was an LTL type shipment, we could do item, box, pallet detail. Also, if you are using a WMS, as I mentioned before, you're going to be able to define all this information ahead of time. So you can do that item box information, even assign package types, or maybe we just want to assign dimensions and weights. You're going to be able to do all that through the WMS. So again, nice thing with using ScanForce, you're going to be able to define all that ahead of time. Now as a shipper, I don't even have to worry about going into packaging, or maybe I want to throw something on a scale to get a weight. That's all I have to do here. If you're not using a WMS, inside Starship, you can most certainly do the item box detail. It is simple drag and drop, so I can just drag items, move them around. Starship does also support packaging scenarios. So if you do have a single item that always ships in the same type of box, like a case pack, because we can also set quantity breaks, you could set those up. So that's what's happening with this blanket. Starship knows, they're shipping a blanket. I know up to 6 of them fit into a single blanket package. All right, so with those, unfortunately, these packaging scenarios, we can't do multiple items like, hey, Starship, a pillow and a blanket fit in a blanket box. But from there, again, if you don't have any packaging scenarios, we can even just set it up where everything just comes into one default box. Get rid of that. And then from there, if you want, hey, I need a second box. It's a 2-box shipment. I can quickly click this little icon. Or if you do have a large order and you need multiple boxes, this icon is a repeat box function. So this is where I can quickly select the package, tell Starship, repeat X amount of time, even if the weights are already in, copy the weights. But once I click OK, Starship adds those additional boxes. From here, if I wanted to, again, manually building this inside Starship, I can then get into that item box detail by simply dragging and dropping my items around. Items box detail is not a requirement, so you don't have to put items in boxes. Some clients ship 100 line items. Hey, I don't want my shipper to have to move things around, but Starship's not going to yell at the shipper if we don't have an item in a box, as you can see there. Okay. Same thing with the packaging. If you want to, if you use set size boxes, you could assign those right inside of Starship. We also, as you see, bring in the carrier supply boxes. But with this packaging database, it could be boxes, bags, bales, pallets, what have you. But the nice thing with using the packaging database is Starship will automatically populate those dimensions. And we'll talk about that in a second. But, so we could simply just select the package types. And then our quantities, that's just going to, in my system, I'm pulling by the sales order. So I'm mapping in, hey, what was ordered, what's available. So Starship's automatically looking at inventory. If anything was back ordered on the sales order, of course, that's how it's going to flow into Starship. Or we even have security options where maybe you want to allow your shipper to modify that. Maybe I went around and, oh, you know what, Sage inventory must be off. We only have 5 out of 6 blankets. So they could modify that. And anything they change this to is what's going to write back into Sage 100. Okay? So these are units on shipment. Actual weight here, if you have your weights just like in this system set up inside of Sage, Starship can automatically calculate those. But we also do support things like scales, automatically bring in the weight from a scale, or we can manually type in or adjust the weights. And then bill weight next door, this is dimensional weight. Hopefully everyone's aware, but just know now with carriers like FedEx and UPS, everything is done by a dimensional calculation. So what they're going to do is they have a special calculation, and really I should say what Starship's going to do is pick up that carrier's calculation, we'll automatically run it, and we're going to display the correct dimensional weight here. All right, so in this scenario, what Starship is now doing, it's going to rate shop at the correct dimensional weight. And then as a shipper, when we click ship and process, it's going to go to the carrier at that correct dimensional weight. Because now if you were to send this out at 16 pounds, what the carrier is going to do, they're going to send you a bill that says, yep, you sent that box out at 16 pounds, but dimensionally it's 19. Here's the difference. Okay, so just know you don't have to worry about that with Starship. Automatically going to always populate the correct dimensional weight. And even in this scenario, I have some clients, this one's not bad, 4 pounds, but I have some clients that watch this, and then the shipper goes, maybe this was 10 or 8 pounds. And you know what, we're going to build a lot of extra money here just due to dimensional weight. Can I get that into a smaller box? And then, a lot of times they'll just switch it, and then they'll see, okay, yep, that's better. We're not going to get hit with that different weight because of the dimensional calculation. Mm-hmm. So that's really packaging. After that, you can then scroll down here, and this is where you're going to see that live rate shopping that I was talking about earlier. So pinging carriers, returning things like business days, total days, ETAs. Here's published list rates, contract rates. That's your live contract rate. And then the applied charge in Starship terms is usually what we write back into Sage 100 as what you want to charge the customer. We can also do write back rules. So, maybe the order's coming from a website, you already charged them, and we can tell Starship in those scenarios, do not override that freight amount in the Sage freight field. That's what they're charging the customer. Okay? And applied charges can also include plus or minus freight rules. So up here is just a breakdown of the different carriers or different charges. But if I go to the main one here, so for example, I just have one that's looking at a user-defined field. It's selected. This customer receives a 25% discount. Maybe you want to do things like line item detail. Oh, you know what? We're shipping dinner plates. They're fragile. So let's add a flat rate of $3 to help cover that additional packaging material. And so again, with Starship, you could create these different freight rules where, as you see, it could be percentages, min-maxes, flat rates, calculations, and they could be based off the Sage fields or even just Starship fields. Okay. And also, we talked about the ship via rules, so we could set up Starship to automatically select the least expensive carrier, least amount of delivery days. Switch rules, maybe, hey, anytime it's customer ABC, it's always got to go out FedEx second day, for example, or UPS. Really up to you. But those rules can be created. Now, as a shipper, I don't have to worry about doing any of this and making sure, again, maybe I'm selecting the least expensive. We can set up Starship to automatically do that. Line item, this is just another database, as I mentioned earlier, that Starship has, where we add this just to help streamline the shipping process. So again, if you're doing LTL, we could store your inventory items and also store things like NMFC code, freight class, subcode, and in this case, international. There's all that required international information. So again, in this scenario, I don't have to stop, fill out anything. I could really just bring in this shipment, maybe do some packaging, scroll down rate shop, and then once I'm ready to process it, I click ship and process. Or we have shortcut keys. You can create, oops, I didn't want to save that, but all right, we'll just do that again. You can save shipments, maybe you want to stage them, create return labels. If you ever do that where you're sending a return label with the outbound shipment, you can include those. But here, once you click ship and process, what Starship's going to do is generate your shipping documents. And it does take a second for my system because, as you see, I PDF everything, but normally they'll just print right out. And also, I don't have a thermal printer, so this document that I'm using is just what we call our smart label. It does print the shipping label packing list to a laser printer, but again, just an option. Most certainly, we can send your shipping label to a thermal printer or printers. With Starship, we can tell it where each of the different documents get printed to. So if you are using 2 different printers for FedEx and UPS, we can tell it where they go to. Followed by the packing list options there. That could also go to a thermal printer if you'd like. Of course, we can send it to a laser printer. You also have the option, maybe I want to save a copy as a PDF to a network share. We could do that as well. And then with those documents, we can also customize them, create unlimited templates, and on each of those templates, assign printing rules. So for example, again, this was a blind drop shipment for Tractor Supply Company. So Starship knows to print this special packing list that has their logo and their information. And so I don't have to worry. Starship automatically knows to print the correct documents. All right, so that's box 1 of 2. And here's box 2 of 2. We could also do master packing slips if you prefer. As you see, I just do a child where it's for each box. And then again, in this case, it's international. We can even use Starship to generate our international documents. Everything's already populated. I have this one customized so it's signed, dated, ready to go. Also, the commercial invoice. Again, everything's just generated on there. I don't have to stop, fill out anything. We also fully support the carrier. So UPS FedEx has the paperless options where they'll electronically send those documents. So we do support that as well. So really, we bring that in, click ship and process. Starship generates our documents. It then just takes me back to the main Starship screen, where as a shipper, basically rinse, repeat, grab my next sales order, go through that cycle again. And then for the front office, I'll just jump into my Sage machine, go into SO invoice data entry, and I'll go to my last invoice. So here's the invoice for sales order 222, the one we just shipped. As you see on the header, ship via, we can reverse translate ship via codes as well. So if it gets changed due to at time of shipment, we'll write back the correct one. But here in Sage's tracking table, we're going to write back, drop in those tracking information, carrier, weights, comment is up to you. And this information is in this correct table, so you can even use Sage's tracking hyperlink here. Or maybe the customer called up later. You can access this through customer maintenance or invoice history lookup. And hey, I didn't get my first package. You'll be able to see that item to box detail as long as you're doing that inside of Starship or through a WMS like ScanForce. But automatically write that information back. Again, addresses, we can reverse translate the address if it gets changed due to validation. And then on the totals tab, we are going to write back the freight amount. Again, plus or minus freight rules. This is the standard Sage freight amount field. I actually have added 2 additional user-defined fields. And with Starship, we do have the a built-in custom write back feature where you can take any additional shipping information and push it back into a user-defined field. So for example, here, I'm always going to push back what my carrier is going to charge me. That way, before someone updates the invoices, because we just create that, you still have to print, save them, and then do the daily transaction register, all that fun stuff. But someone can review these, and in this scenario, hey, wait a minute, why do we short ourselves so much? Oh yeah, we gave that customer a discount. You know what? They owe us money. Then this should be $295 or $395. So you can always override that freight amount that gets written back. All right. So again, that's basically the whole process of processing shipment through Starship and the write back. Let's see, what I'll do is also show you the dashboard program. So this is also included. I just want to leave some time for if there's any questions. But with Starship, our dashboard program is included, does not require any additional user seats or licenses. I am accessing it through the main Starship screen, but we do have it as a standalone. So if you just wanted someone to be able to get into dashboard, they could do that, of course. But over here, I'm just selecting history and status. But maybe I want to set up some of these different little widgets, what's been shipped, voided, anything late. We do keep track of that delivery date. So if you are doing guaranteed type shipments, Starship will show you, hey, that package wasn't delivered on time. That way you can reach out to the carrier and try to get a refund. Also from here, if we wanted to, we could come in and see a summary of the shipment, or maybe we want to actually see the actual Starship record. We can drill down into it, see all the details, even reprint or view shipping documents that have been generated through Starship. So you can see those. And let's close this. All right, so again, just a bunch of different options here. Heat map, see where I have this set up by where all my hotspots are, where all my shipments are going. A bunch of canned crystal reports. So if you ever just want to run a standard report or one of these out of the box reports, you can do that. We also add a sample report that you can customize. This just does use the crystal report program. And then also in here is the e-notify program. So this is where I can go in and see any email that's been sent, failed. Maybe you have a bad email in Sage. Here I don't send mine, so I'll just go to pending. And here's just an example for the sales order that we just shipped. And this program does allow you to create unlimited templates. So there's my company information, bringing in Sage fields like PO, sales order number, the carrier, where it's going, number of packages, ETA that's being returned by the carrier, so that's also accurate. And here you do have the option, do you want to show them item box detail? You can also do package 1, package 2. But again, that tracking number is going to be hyperlinked. This will kick them to the carrier's website so they can actually track that package. And then with these templates, almost like those printing rules, you can also assign emailing rules. So I have this 20% off promo code. You can hyperlink that, get back to your website. Want to bring the customer right back there. But the point being is, maybe we only want this to go to certain customers. You can create those rules, and then of course Starship would follow them. Right. Also with these emails, it's up to you when they go out. You could have them go as soon as the shipper clicks ship and process. Honestly, I usually don't recommend that because what the customer is going to get is this exact same thing. They're probably going to panic and end up calling you. But you can even just, what most clients do, just set a time. Hey, Starship, 8 o'clock at night, send out all the emails, or you could delay them by any certain hours and or minutes. Okay. So again, that's really that quick process of getting orders in and out. I do have a couple minutes, so what I'll do is real quick while we're in here, I'll even just show you an LTL type shipment. But as I mentioned, Starship is multi-carrier, multi-mode, so it's the same workflow. All this information automatically going to populate. And here's my carrier, and then down here in packaging is that item to box detail. It's the same drag and drop. You can assign custom pallets if you'd like. Things like in my system, I already have Starship selecting freight classes in NMFC codes, subcodes. So that's all taken care of. And then down here is where I can see that live rate shopping. And again, all I have to do is do ship and process. And then I can use Starship to generate things like bill of lading forms, pallet labels. We do support straight as well as VIC bill of lading forms, or even having the carrier electronically deliver them. So here's just my straight bill of lading, all the information populated. Here's my barcode to pallet label, same process. And then back inside of Sage, there's my invoice for 227 with my pro numbers and the rate amount right back. All right. So again, that's kind of what I wanted to go over with everyone. I don't know if there are any questions, but I'll also put up my contact information. So please feel free to reach out to me or your account rep. And more than happy to answer questions, schedule discovery calls, demos. But again, appreciate everyone taking the time.
All right, thank you, Matt. Question, which I've been asking each one of them, is implementation time on solutions like this. What does that look like?
Yeah, Great question. So, hour-wise for the actual implementation, again, it's going to depend on how many workstations we're setting up, how many carriers, so on and so forth. Are there additional Sage fields you want us to map in? But usually it's anywhere from 10 to 20 hours. But the actual timeline, we're booked about. I usually just overkill it and say about 8 weeks, so just about 2 months. In reality, I think our team's currently booked about 4 to 6 weeks. But what we like to do, if you want to move forward, we have a pre-installed document that we send out, and that just goes over workflow, system environments, and you fill that out. Once we get that back, we're going to schedule a call with our implementation tech, so the gentleman you'll be working with. They'll go over that document with you, and then usually after that call, it's the following week that we'll do that implementation. So, it could be a day. We could break it up into like 3 appointments, a couple days. But after that, we get everything installed, configured, we'll test, and then we'll do live training with your users. So.
Excellent. Thank you. I think that is all I have for you today, Matt. If anyone is interested, like Matt said, reach out to Matt, reach out to your consultant at DWD, and they can talk to you about our experience, and then I'm sure they'll move you to talking to Matt to talk about your needs and get you some pricing and what's the right solution, right, between cloud, on-prem, and what options you need. So again, thanks, Matt, for your time today, and we'll talk to you soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks again. Thanks for having us, and appreciate everyone taking the time for the demo.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Take care now. You're welcome. Bye.